So first they banned trans fats and said you couldn't have a big gulp soda. But now New York says, let's legalize pot. How would that be? Even Greg Gutfeld says, in some ways, it's not the right move. He joins me on this story coming up next.
Is that a joint, man? That goddamn looks like a quarter pounder, man. George Washington, man, he was in a cult. And the cult was in the aliens, man. You didn't know that? No. Oh, man, they were way into that type of stuff, man.
George took weed.
Absolutely, George took weed. Are you kidding me, man? He grew fields of that stuff, man.
So this is what was on their minds. Is weed the way for a struggling state to get a quick buck, to make government money? Here in New York, there's a report that suggests that legalizing pot in the Empire State could translate to hundreds of millions of dollars a year in revenue, and that's what they need, right? But wait, isn't New York City the one that banned trans fats and extra large sodas because they would be bad for you? Greg Gutfeld, co-host of The Five. So good to have you here tonight, Greg.
It's a pleasure to be here.
You believe that pot should be legal.
Legal, right.
Legal.
If you have the right to bear arms, the right to freedom of speech, you should have the right to relief, meaning the world is a very difficult place.
What if heroin is your relief?
So be it.
So you're okay with that, too?
I think that human beings have a right to their own oblivion, and as you can tell, any war on any of these drugs it never works. You can outlaw heroin, and there's more addicts than there is on the street in New York. You're trying to control the opioid crisis. That's not a pharmaceutical problem. That's a street drug problem. So when you start hitting the patient that has a pain disorder or a cancer, when you start going after them, they become the victim, not the actual street hustler.
What bothers me is this reminds me of gambling in the 80s. Every state wanted to pass gambling laws because they were sure that it was their way to refill their coffers. They were going to make so much money off gambling. What they ended up with was, in many cases, a lot of empty casinos. A lot of people addicted to gambling. That's why they all have billboards, if you're Gamblers Anonymous, call us up. So I don't think this is a way to economic security. I think it's a cheap shot.
Well, I don't think it's a good reason to legalize anything so the government can tax it. The government will tax anything. At your funeral, they don't send flowers. They send the IRS. I mean, they tax you on the way out. So I think that's why I say I coined the phrase.